Hiya guys, it's Aaron here from Push Square, and joining me, rather intriguingly, I've got somebody else. Who's that?
It's me. It's Liam from Push Square. Aaron, I'm so happy to finally have a friend.
I know, it's nice to talk to somebody else on this lovely channel. How have you been?
I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm all the better because I've seen the THQ 10th anniversary live stream, as I'm sure you'll agree. Or maybe not.
Well,
So obviously, let's just get, the awkward bit out of the way. Not quite as good as the PlayStation showcase that we had recently a couple of weeks ago.
Marginally different, I'd say, in terms of quality.
It could have gone either way, but who knows. But no, the exciting thing-ish is that there were a bunch of new games announced, a bunch of new games revealed as part of this thing, some of which definitely more interesting than others. But before we get into that proper, Liam, I'm just curious, obviously THQ Nordic, they own a lot of licenses, responsible for a lot of game series. They've been snapping all sorts of IP up recently. Was there a game missing from the show? Like, what was something you would have liked to have seen here?
Well, I think we're probably not alone in this expectation. We recently heard that THQ had revived British developer Free Radical Design, and that they were working on a brand new entry in the Time Splitters series, which is one of my favourite first-person shooters from my halcyon teenage days. So I was I know it's probably still a long way off. I think the team have only been revived this year. They're probably still in early conceptual planning stages, but I was kind of hoping we'd have seen at least some kind of pre-rendered trailer, just letting us know maybe the themes of the game, just giving us some information perhaps, but unfortunately it was a no-show.
Yeah, I think I'm right with you there in that the way to do like a Time Splitters reveal is just kind of, because the series is known for parodying like countless other genres and stuff, you kind of want to tease it out with something pre-rendered and just get Cortez like jumping through a portal and then, bang, Time Splitters.
Or even just a monkey with a chainsaw. That's all we needed to see.
That gosh darn it monkey. I've never understood the monkey thing with Time Splitters, but people seem to love it. It was a shame not to see Time Splitters there. Another one I'd throw out is Darksiders. I don't know if you're a fan of those games, but
I'm not actually. It's a blind spot for me. I've never played a Darksiders.
Well, we'll have that. You almost said Dark Souls then, didn't you? So you had to watch yourself.
I did. You really caught me there, yeah.
It won't be the first. It won't be the last time. But no, we should definitely play Darksiders Genesis at some point because great top-down co-op game, came out a few years ago, but probably why it was unsurprising that we didn't get a full Darksiders 4 announcement, which is a shame because I'd like to get Strife, who's sort of the gunman, his own full series entry.
So has he been in other entries before? Is he like a character that is known in the series?
Yeah, so I think you first see him, you see everyone at the end of the first Darksiders game, and then obviously every other game runs in parallel to the first game.
I did not know that. That's really cool.
Well, there you go. And then Darksiders Genesis, he was fully introduced as playable, which is a prequel to the entire saga. So,
interesting.
Something quite exciting potentially if they do a Darksiders 4. Another one I'd throw out: Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. It's been...
we're overdue a sequel, right?
Come on,
it's
now,
been
guys.
so long.
We're
all waiting.
We're all waiting. Sphinx and the Cursed Daddy. It's surely the next place to go with that series. But I only throw that out because they reintroduced the port not too long ago to other platforms, so it's something we could have seen potentially. And then last but not least, another Joe Madjoint, the same guy who created Darksiders, Battle Chasers Night War, which would have been nice to see a sequel to. Yeah,
I enjoyed that when I played it a few years ago. I'd like to see them expand on that a little bit. I think there's some potential there.
Yeah, especially because 2D turn-based games of that nature, they're not very affluent these days. But I think something like that could do really well on PlayStation. So anyway, those enough of our disappointments. Let's get into the main meat of the show. THQ Nordic kicked off with a fairly substantial bang, I'd say, with the first official reveal of Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed.
Yeah, long rumoured, I think.
Yeah, I think there was a leak actually maybe like a week or so prior, like that name Reprobed, I think was being thrown around. So maybe someone wasn't as tight-lipped as they would have hoped. But no, we got a pre-rendered trailer similar to the first one we got for the remake. I don't get what the obsession with Rammstein is, but the guys over there, they have fun with it. What were your impressions when you saw that Destroy All Humans 2 was revealed?
I mean, it makes sense, right? The first game, well, the remake of the first game, I should say, seemed to go down well critically. I know that, I think Stephen reviewed it for us and he had a fun time with it. I haven't actually played the remake, but I did enjoy the originals on PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And I think I'm, more than anything else, I'm just really happy to see them, A, reviving their classic series for modern generations, and B, just being this publisher of AA games when the industry's kind of turned their back on that entire, not genre, but like slice of games, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sort of era, where you could walk into your local co-op or, just general supermarché, and there'd be like a big basket bin just of, £5 games, and that's what I think of when I see something like Destroy All Humans and things we'll talk about later. But no, I did play the remake from a few years ago. I can't remember if I finished it. It's not a very long game, but it's definitely the example of a by the numbers remake. And when I say by the numbers, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. They're kind of, and I think it's is it Black Forest Games are the guys that are on this one. They kind of just want to take your memory and kind of make that a reality. So how you remember that game, this is what it's going to look like. And definitely seems like they're doing that again here with Destroy All Humans 2. There's no real new features of note to this remake, but there are a few ways that the second game differed from the first. So 2-player split screen co-op, which is nice to see. You don't always get it with games these days, so that's coming back. It's obviously set in the 60s now, so you get a funktastic time, I think was the term that they were throwing around. They're very willing to poke fun at themselves. But what I will say is that the reason I preferred Destroy All Humans 2 to the first originally, as well as the setting, is because whereas the first game, it's obviously like a hub-based sort of open world, you're going around causing chaos in the 50s.
Yeah.
In that game, you had a device called the Holobob, which would temporarily let you, take on the guise of other humans.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, you actually get to just snatch their bodies, so you don't have to worry too much about it fading.
Yes, I remember that.
I'm probably going into way too much detail here. People are like, who cares? Destroy humans, but
no,
I do. I care.
People do care. I mean, there's a reason why they're making a sequel, right? Clearly people do care because the first one must have sold well.
And I think this second one is clearly being based on the same engine and assets from that first remake. So why not just go ahead and do it? The template's already there.
But it's only coming to PS5, right? It's not coming to PS4 this time.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
So very interesting.
I did think that was an odd choice. But does that mean it's a way off? Because we got no release date with this, is that right?
Yeah, I don't think they announced a release date just yet. We did see gameplay, though.
We did?
So, unlike some other things, there was a gameplay trailer in addition to the pre-rendered one. So that tells me we're probably looking at about a year, if I'm being sort of, kind.
That sounds about right. I mean, I think so. Obviously, the pandemic makes that a bit of a tough thing to guess,
Very
I think.
True.
But I reckon so, right? If they've got most of the assets and, the gameplay... It's largely the same from what I remember.
Yeah, and they were clearly working on this one when they were launching the original remake sort of thing. So you'd hope it was in the can for quite a while. The last thing I'll say about the Destroy All Humans 2 remake is that I hope it leads us to an eventual Destroy All Humans 3, because while the story did continue with Path of the Furon on PS3, and I think the Wii had its own spin-off as well, there's so much more room to hopefully tell this story about Crypto and the Furon race, and I'd like to see Black Forest Games get that chance, because that seems to be the case with other THQ Nordic developers, as we'll soon discuss.
I was going to ask that. I was going to literally say, do you think we'll get a numbered brand new sequel after this one if this one performs well? Because those other two, the PS3 one and the Wii one, were bad, right? I think they were critically panned.
I would say so, yeah. I've not actually played any of them for a reason that we discussed off air. Yes. No trophies in Path of the Furon on PS3.
So why bother?
Can't be playing it. If you're not going to add them in, then why should I bother playing now? But in all seriousness, I think that's where it's going to lead, particularly because, as great as these recent remakes are, they're very archaic, maybe is too strong a word. They definitely feel like old games.
Yes.
And it'd be great if the dev could just take that format and sort of launch it into like the modern era, which I think there's scope for.
Agreed.
So next up, in terms of the PlayStation games announced at the THQ showcase, we have the delightful, depending on your perspective, Outcast 2: A New Beginning was revealed. And Liam, you've got so many thoughts on this game, I can just tell.
Aaron, my head, as always, is empty. My brain is smooth. What do you think of the sequel to a game from 1999 that received a remake in, I did write this down, 2017 on PlayStation 4. It's an odd thing to revive. Do you think people were shouting for a sequel to Outcast?
Well, this is the thing, because again, like Outcast, the remake that came out a couple of years ago, is definitely one of those games. Like, I was surprised it even got like a physical release. On the rare chance I do walk into a game these days,
It got a physical release?
I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that.
Wow, I did not know that.
To me, it just looks like a generic sort of open world space game, and I think the big claim with the first game is that it was kind of like an early sort of example of this sort of semi-open world sort of format, which, you know, other more prominent games picked up and ran with.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I was not asking for a sequel. I don't know many who were. And, you know, I know the showcase was only about 20, 25 so minutes, but this took up a good chunk of time. So they clearly believe in it.
Yeah, I think so. And they must be banking on, because it's the original developers who are back making this the second time around. Apparently they did start to make a sequel straight after the original in the early 2000s. And they ran out of funding. So I think clearly they have ideas. Clearly this is something that they've been passionately wanting to pursue. For me, so my biggest thing was when I watched that trailer, I was like, oh, this is Avatar. Like, visually, this reminds me so much of Avatar. And obviously we have an Avatar game coming up.
From Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, yep. And I don't know about you. That's not something I'm particularly interested in, is an expansion on the Avatar cinematic franchise. So for me, it would be unfair for me, I think, to say anything other than I'll see. Whatever this is, visually it looked gorgeous. The environmental design on the pre-alpha stuff they were showing off after the trailer, really nice. Really loved the world design. Really loved the buildings, and it really gave you an evocative sense of what this world is. But yeah, I don't like the protagonist.
Would you be referring to Cutter Slade by any chance?
I am referring to Space Dad Cutter Slade, a middle-aged, looks like he's been ripped from the settee after watching the football on a Saturday afternoon, and is now a protagonist in a big budget AA game.
Yeah. And you can tell he's middle-aged because he's still rocking that 5 o'clock shadow.
He's loving it.
He may have jumped forward in time 20 years, but he's still there. No time to shave when the world needs saving.
Odd design for a main character of an era, yeah.
But then, to your point, to the same point you made earlier, this is, again, just another PS5 only game. How much Outcast 2 A New Beginning is going to push the console to its limit visually remains to be seen. But I think, with a lot of the games that THQ Nordic put out, you have to take the rough with the smooth.
Yes, you do.
And this is just an example, of a game where it kind of falls a bit more on the rougher side, especially because it's going for that sort of realistic art style for the most part.
And that's part of the joy of a AA mid-tier release, right?
Exactly.
You gotta have that sometimes. You can't have things that are too polished. Sometimes it loses a bit of that charm that you want from a game like this.
Well, anyway, we spent way too much time talking about Outcast 2, so let's move on to what the people really want, and that is MX vs ATV: Legends, which was also revealed at this showcase. And I think I may have dabbled with previous incarnations of this series. It's coming to PS4 and PS5.
Yeah.
So, which is, more people will hopefully get to play it. And it does, I'd be lying if I said that when I watched the trailer, it looks like a lot of fun. I might play it.
It reminded me a bit of MotorStorm.
Exactly. And in a world where MotorStorm is no longer with us, RIP, I'll take any game which is, sort of off-road racing, wants to have fun, multiple vehicle types.
Yep.
What's not to love, really?
Agreed.
Jeff Keighley, who was hosting this showcase, he's earning his pennies. Good on him. He did mention that there's going to be a bit more of an emphasis on a career mode with MX versus ATV, which was something I really enjoyed in Dirt 5, which came out last year. Something I don't know why racing games, I like a few of them, but if you've got a good career mode that can lead me through it, I tend to stick with it a bit more. So
same.
Yeah, that was.
And if it's more on the arcadey side for me, a bit of a problem with me is if a racing game doesn't have Mario as a character.
Never heard of him.
I struggle to get into them. Yeah. Oh, sorry, wrong channel. Like Gran Turismo, things like that. They don't do it for me. If it's too specific, if it's too hardcore, I bounce off them. So this looked like a fun time. Reminded me a little bit of like Wreckfest, that kind of like arcadey, simulation-y kind of thing. So yeah,
and I think if THQ were to pitch this as kind of almost like a budget title, if it retails for £35, £40 here in the UK, I think it could end up.
Yeah, make a difference.
It would make a massive difference. Following that, we entered the sort of PC centric portion of the show, which we don't need to talk about, but Jagged Alliance 3, Superpower 3, and Expeditions Rome all got new announcements or were touched upon briefly, which led us to, and I'm chancing it with this one, is it Elix 2? Elix 2? What's your take? I put you on the spot now.
I mean, I forgot about this the second it was off the screen. I won't lie to you. I found that trailer to be one of the worst trailers I think I've seen for a video game in a long time.
Wow.
Elix.
Sounds like a printer brand.
It does, doesn't it? This trailer, right? Let me just talk about this for a second.
I feel like I'm in therapy.
The audio mixing was really bad. I felt like all the characters, their audio was popping when they were talking. It was like badly mixed. It was a boring trailer. It was just a guy being like, people are coming. And then this woman was like, can't you help me look after our child? And then he was like, no. And then the trailer ended. And I had to watch it twice. I was like, was I half watching? Did I miss something here? But no.
There you go then.
So this came out in 2017, the original, on PS4.
Well, this was the thing, because that was my first reaction. I was like, Elix 2, what happened to Elix 1?
Yeah,
and,
the same.
This game just completely passed me by. They say it's an open world RPG. Me and you, we play a lot of games, and for something like this to fall through the cracks, I was quite surprised by.
Yeah.
I had a look at some footage from the first game. Definitely another one of those rough open worlders. It reminded me of, I don't know if you glanced Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood earlier this year. It
looked very, very similar to that. Just a janky, like a middling. I looked at the reviews. It was pretty critically panned, that original. It averaged to about 40, 50 on Metacritic, I think. So, yeah, it'll have an audience for some people, 100%. But
we're noticing a theme with THQ Nordic in that they'll greenlight a sequel regardless of how it's received or whether or not it potentially sells well.
It's incredible that they take that creative risk, but
good on them.
I mean, yeah, weird. Yeah. Just a weird entry.
I think, like, obviously the sequel, it's coming to PS4 and PS5, we should note. God knows how it's going to run on PS4. The original didn't look like it ran very well anyway. Hence why I made the comparison to Werewolf. It's kind of like almost like it's running, and this is oddly specific, at like 25 frames per second consistently. Like it's just constantly. There's like a smear on the screen every time you turn the camera. There's like a compression issue with the game running in the engine. I don't know,
but it's like it's a classic PlayStation 2 era style release, right? It doesn't quite run well. It doesn't look that good. Somehow it's a sequel, but you never heard of the original. I don't know. I'm curious because that trailer will stick with me for years now. And
you watched it twice. You did exactly what they want, Liam. You gave them the second click. So
I did. Why?
But I will. One thing that does have me worried about Elix/Elix 2 is that they boast actually in the plot synopsis or the game breakdown that with with massive environments that can be explored and unrivaled freedom via jetpack. I mean, you better hope that your game's running well with those bold claims.
You know what? I'm back on board now, Aaron. This is now my most anticipated game of the next 5 years.
There you go.
Unparalleled freedom via jetpack.
Unparalleled. You've played Ghost of Tsushima. That was paralleled, Liam.
Yeah, but in Ghost of Tsushima, right, A, you didn't have a jetpack, and B, you couldn't abandon your baby and let it be looked after by different people.
I love how you've stuck on that like one plot point.
Why was it in the trailer? It was so weird.
Let me get THQ Nordic on the phone. We'll do that. So to end the show, to round out this conversation, I think they did end with something very surprising to their credit. Did not see this coming.
Agreed.
So Spongebob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake, closed the show. PS4 only, unlike Destroy All Humans 2. So it's not getting a next-gen release or current-gen release in any capacity. PS4 only. Obviously, it'll run on PS5. What were your impressions of Spongebob when you saw that?
So I'm a bit of a weird relationship with the... not the SpongeBob brand in general, but his video game lineage, perhaps, is the best way of saying it. So I never played a SpongeBob game until last year when I got a code to review Battle for Bikini Bottom, or to convert Steven's review of it for the channel. And I was pleasantly surprised by, with no nostalgia for that game, I still had a really fun time. and I really just enjoyed playing a simplistic platformer that was just, tight controls, lots of things to collect, fun, colourful environments to run around. So seeing a full sequel to this, well, I suppose it's a full sequel to this, right? I imagine it'll be using the majority of the same engine as Rehydrated. I'm up for this. I'm really up for this. I think it's fun. I think Spongebob is a character that works quite well in gaming, in the context of like a 3D platforming mascot. And the trailer kind of implied that it's going to do some quite fun things with level design. It looks like we're going to be traveling around different dimensions, potentially. Maybe we're going to have some cool power-ups. I know we saw Spongebob as a little snail. Yeah, I don't know, man. It looks like a fun time, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I played the Rehydrated remake last year as well, and unlike 2021, that year wasn't inundated with 3D platformers, so it did feel kind of fresh.
Yeah.
Kind of Spongebob prepared us for Ratchet and It Takes Two later this year, strangely enough. But no, I agree with you. I think it's a testament to Purple Lamp, the developer, that they did such a good job with the Battle for Bikini Bottom remake that we're getting this now. And it's kind of what I was talking about with Destroy Humans earlier. Like, I hope it's nice to see them sort of not just want to copy and paste things and take a chance every so often.
Yeah.
Because even with Outcast 2, they're following, the blueprint from a game that was originally intended to come out 20 years ago. We'll see how that goes. But something like this, completely different for Spongebob fans. The audience for this is just going to be crazy. Multi-generational as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll be traveling through different wish worlds, I think they call it, and there's loads of skins to take on, over 30, I think I saw. And the trailer, I thought it was quite fun, and it shows how self-knowing they are. That it's based around this whole Sweet Victory song, which is famous from the show, but I think people will most recently remember it from when they wanted it to appear at the Maroon 5 2019 Super Bowl halftime show, and were a bit disappointed when they didn't play it in its entirety.
Yeah.
Such a weird thing to hope for. But no, it looks really good. And obviously we're also getting Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl relatively soon.
Of course, yeah.
So there's been a bit of a Nickelodeon renaissance at the moment, but no, very excited for this one, especially because Rehydrated was so good. But I do have one concern about the Cosmic Shake in particular.
Okay.
Because I think Rehydrated, it used the original game's voice files. I might be mistaken by that.
Yeah, that rings a bell. I think so. Yeah, because Mr. Krabs sounded terrible, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, Mr. Krabs, I think he wasn't voiced by the same guy as he was in the show.
Yeah.
And then for Rehydrated, they were hoping that obviously they'd get the guy back. I'm missing it, forgetting his name. Apologies. So I'd be very interested to see if they are going to recruit the voice cast, hire them for the Cosmic Shake. I think you have to, right?
Yeah. They have the money, is what I'll say, and they've bought every single AA developer that exists on the planet at the moment, and they're all under the Embracer Group mantle, aren't they? So I'd imagine they have the cash to do it. If they're greenlighting a sequel to LX, I just had to look at the name there again because I forgot what it was. I'd literally glance over to my notes. Surely they have the money to get the voice cast of SpongeBob, because SpongeBob finished. It's not a show that's on anymore, right? There's not new episodes coming out.
So I thought it's one of those shows where it keeps coming back for runs. I assumed it was still going, but who knows? Maybe it's just repeating, ad infinitum now.
I'm sure someone in the comments will let us know if it's still running.
Let us know in the comments. Because otherwise, if they don't get the original voice actor, then surely it's just going to be like canned responses from the show, which equally I can see THQ Nordic doing. It depends, how expensive an endeavor it is.
I guess he could be a side character, and there's probably enough material out there for them to do that, but I reckon they'll get all the cast back. Be surprised if they didn't.
You'd hope so. Because I think that's even a concern with Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Like, you've got all these characters, not just from one show, but from many, and, a large part of what makes those sort of party fighting games work are the sort of intros and the characterizations of them. But it remains to be seen.
I wonder how Smash Brothers does it. I wonder if Smash Brothers gets all the original voice cast back. I've never heard any rumblings on the internet that people aren't happy about that.
So I definitely know that when, to keep it, semi-PlayStation related, when Solid Snake appeared in Brawl, I think it was on the Wii, he definitely recorded new voice dialogue for that. And, I'm sure that is what you're hearing when you play the latest Smash Brothers.
Yeah, it might still be the still.
Initially, they did.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that just about wraps it up for THQ Nordic's 10th anniversary showcase. Obviously, not hot on big, exciting announcements, but, definitely some interesting tidbits in there, shall we say, and stuff I'm interested in, which, is the best you can hope for.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, it was a little bit flat, better than their E3 presentation. By a considerable long shot. Not difficult. They showed at least one trailer here, so it was a bit of an improvement. But I think, I like THQ. I think spare some questionable marketing tactics from time to time. I think they are making games I like to play and reviving a specific slice of the industry that we don't see as much anymore. So it was nice to see, and I'm holding out hope for pretty much everything they showcased here.
Me too. And, we'll be here when they do eventually announce Darksiders 4, Time Splitters, but most importantly, Sphinx and the Cursed Daddy.
I've never...
Well, anyway, guys, I've just, completely defeated Liam now. He's turned into a puddle into his chair, crying with laughter.
God.
Anyway, I want to thank you guys for, tuning into this video. Let us know in the comments what you thought about THQ's 10th anniversary stream. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like and consider subscribing to the Push Square channel for everything PlayStation related. But until next time, from both me and Liam, we will see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.